So we all, well, most of us, turned our profiles purple in solidarity of GBV prevention and the national disaster crisis that we are facing. So one of the amazing things that happened alongside the G20, at the G20 Social Summit, our president announced that GBV is now a national disaster and crisis. And what that means for us is that hopefully our president now takes this very seriously, that there is stringent, focused, intentional processes put in place to protect victims and survivors, but to bring perpetrators to book and for us to complete that cycle. This also means for us that our country and our services from SAPS to health are saying victims, survivors will no longer be shamed, will no longer feel they're not protected in those environments. That it also says that those services are going to be well trained to receive those unfortunate circumstances when they arrive at their doorstep. But I think more than anything for us, that whoever's been found guilty is brought to book and they serve their time. It just pains me that it had to take this long. I think there's so many women, I know there's so many women who didn't need to lose their lives the way that they did. I feel our judicial, just our entire system has failed so many women and therefore so many families, and I can only imagine so many children. And so I really hope that with what women did and men across the country, lying down on the floor for 15 minutes, really sent a strong message to not only South Africa but the world, because there was that billboard when you arrived as a G20 leader that says, "Welcome to the country where women are only safe in caskets." We don't want to be just safe in caskets. We want to be safe in our homes. We want to be safe in our communities, in our places of work, family gatherings. You don't want to be constantly looking over your shoulder, whether you have a girl child or a boy child. You just want to live, And I really hope that just the whole thing has planted seeds of consciousness amongst people, particularly around men. I think there's a lot in our society that we need to work on. I don't think this is and that's why this whole thing is complicated, right? Because I don't think it's a one-layer thing. Remember that a lot of perpetrators or a lot of the sons who are now perpetrators were raised during the end times of apartheid, that really shaped the course of our communities and how we function. And that was entrenched in violence, in fighting back, no negotiation. And I'm not making excuses for our behavior. I'm saying to declare it a national crisis is one thing, but we need to work on our root cause as well, so that we are able to start peeling back, uncomfortably so, everything that we need to deal with as a nation. What makes the nation? We're a violent nation. We've become a violent nation. And so these are the things that we can't ignore. To declare it a national disaster is making sure people are brought to book. But we've got to make sure they don't even get there. So what work are you, for example, as a non-profit organization doing to work with young boys who are potential perpetrators, who are being raised by perpetrators, who are being raised in homes where they see this abuse and they feel unempowered, disempowered to act, who look at their mom or their sister continuously being beaten by this man, who initially, let me tell you the cycle, who initially are angry at their dads, angry at these boyfriends, who are inflicting this abuse upon their female loved ones, and they hate what they're doing. Then you know what happens? Because moms and sisters or aunts, etc., are dealing with their own things, they keep going back, no judgment, right? They keep going back for whatever reason. Then these young chaps in these homes end up hating their moms, hating their sisters, hating their aunts for all that they're taking them through emotionally when it comes to the GBV cycle. And they end up doing that to their counterparts, thinking that actually it is normal, because nowhere am I seeing that the cycle is being cut. When my mother is abused, she stays. When my sister is abused, she actually has more babies with this man. And so a confusing hurt that starts as hate and disdain for this person who's doing this, but then turns to be, oh, it's normal to get to keep your person around because they stay. And so what work are we doing as NPO founders? And so even though this is not your core business as an organization, even if you're about health, there's an intersectionality here. These do cross and they meet, because if your beneficiaries are unable to access healthcare because of a gender-based violence situation at home, then you are not meeting your targets anyway, right? If your challenges in the organization that you're dealing with are around education and access to education, you might find that your beneficiaries are in a home where the man believes that girl children do not deserve to be educated. They deserve in a particular part of the home, kitchen, etc. And now that leads into a GBV situation because the girl is forcing to go, and that finds them in a GBV situation. Then you are not meeting your targets for access to good health and following your SDGs. So we should all care. It doesn't matter what you're serving, who you're serving, what targets you're trying to meet. Gender-based violence is a national disaster, yes, for government, but I think it's also a national disaster that us as NPO founders and change makers should be aware of. So Impact Drivers is really grateful to be working with Avon Justine with the No More Fund, where we are talking gender-based violence prevention. We are really excited. We are busy with it now, 16 Days of Activism, where we are working with gender-based violence prevention activists who every single day over the 16 days have been giving us different snapshot of what GBV looks like on the ground. And each day is then ended off with, what do we do to change it? So, for example, one of the activities for the guys was, when you see women, what's the one word that first comes to mind? And already what that says is that if it's not a positive word, check yourself. Why is it not positive? What in your mind has been built over years to make you think that it is not, that's what you think of women? And so, and then the other challenge has been, give us 5 words that you're going to go tell any female, the first female that you see in the street. So, complete stranger, somebody you don't know, give them 5 words of affirmation as a woman, So we were just trying to not so much focus on the negative around GBV prevention, but really around what are some of the positives that we can focus on and think about as we go through the 16 days of activism. So we are supported, funded, well-resourced by Avon Justine with the No More organization for us to be able to do this work. So we are always on our socials, particularly Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We do also have a section on our website where you are able to, get in touch with us, talk to us about whether you have been a victim and now a survivor of gender-based violence. We are always looking for personal stories. We believe in personal stories in being one of the ways that work for our long-term programs. So if you are out there, you have a personal story of even you being a perpetrator and you now know better. We want to hear from you. We want to understand you were not born a perpetrator. Something happened, something shifted. It will allow us as an organization to get into your mind and understand what happened so that we can build better programming for our boys and young men. So, whichever end of the spectrum or on the spectrum you see yourself in getting involved, we are keen. Whether you just want to talk to us or whether you actually want to stand up in front of young people, we'll need to vet you, obviously, child safety and protection and all. But outside of that, we would absolutely love for everyone and anyone who would love to get involved. Like I said, whether it's just research in the background, you just want to have a focus group with us and really talk to us about this and what are your findings, or how you became a perpetrator, how you were a victim and now you're a survivor, or you're saying, in fact, I want to go around with you guys. I want to do some of the work that you do. I want to be there with you guys. I want to be in the room. I want to be able to counsel, talk to any victims or survivors that are in the room. We are always here for it. We are always here for people who want to help, who want to volunteer, particularly in these spaces, because it's not always the areas that we are expertise in. And so when you've got someone in the room who has walked that journey, the door for you is open.